Mr. Stephen Moss, welcome to Damnation Versus.
How's it going?
I'm good, mate. Good to be speaking to you. So, to give you an introduction to the listeners, we'll start with you're an artist as well, when you do a bit of, well, you're an agent. But the reason I want to talk to you is, first and foremost, is because Incineration Festival, you're the first for the 2021 first sort of sizable event in our scene to go by the wayside. So let's start there. When was that decision made?
I mean, I guess it's been, like dread. It gradually builds up. So I mean, I guess the decision was made. Very, an inkling of the decision was made last year. But just gradually throughout, the winter, it's just got worse and worse. And we kind of reached a point now where, well, let's say about a month ago, we reached out to Emperor's manager and we're just like, it's not happening.
Because obviously the first time around, a lot of people held on for as long as they could, but you guys were in a position by January to say your event, that was, for folk who don't know Incineration, it's an extreme metal focused black metal event in London that's due to take place in May. So you guys, how much work had gone in to be able to already say by January that it's not going to happen this year? Whether it's a surprise to folk or not, it's still a lot of work behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, for us, like, the really gutting thing was the fact that we were so disappointed that 2020 couldn't happen, that we really wanted to do something crazy for the fans. So we thought, let's get a huge headliner, let's get a huge venue, let's completely upgrade so we can make up for 2020. So we did that, and the same result as 2020 happened.
Yes.
But I think we're in kind of a lucky position because I mean, some festivals that are going to be having to cancel this year, I mean, I'm hoping it's not too many, but if they've already carried over their lineup for the last 2 years, I think they're going to struggle to carry it over again for a third year. But I mean, I think we're in kind of a luckier position because we did at Emperor last year. I think we can get away with it one more time.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably similar to Damnation in that side of things. I mean, it's not a case of, I don't know if you've got an Iron Maiden or a Slipknot or whatever at the top of your poster, and people have already seen those bands 10, 15 times, whatever, and then you're trying to attract 60, 70,000 fans back with the same lineup for the third time. And I was talking to Tom Taff about it and saying, if I need to go for another year and the Pig Destroyer and Wolves in the Front, well, Pig Destroyer, because Wolves in Front, I'm just married, have to get added again, it's not going to be exciting for me as a promoter 3 years in a row to offer up the same bands. But Damnation and Incineration is slightly different because Emperor playing the UK, Pig Destroyer playing the UK bands, it's not that often, and the people that are excited about coming to see Emperor and Incineration are still going to be excited next year as much of a chore as it is to keep promoting the same lineup year in, year out.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it does get a little bit challenging when you've only got, I mean, a band only has so many promotional images, and if you're posting them up for 2 years, after a while you need to change them up. Maybe I'll have to check with the band if I can Photoshop some outfits onto them.
Right. You do something. So let's rewind a wee bit and give listeners a wee bit of insight into Incineration Festival. You guys have been going, was it 7 years?
Yeah, well, I mean, we conjured up the idea of the festival back in 2013, and as I said, the first edition was 2014. But I mean, back then we were just at the the garage in London, so we were just like 700 tickets, so super small.
And how did that first year go? Because obviously the problem with getting, because you guys have made a success of it. There's a million Damnations and there's a million Incineration festivals that start up and disappear in 1 year. So you're saying, you did start small with 700, but how did you find that first year and actually the reality of trying to sell a ticket to someone, which seems easy on paper, but in reality is not the case?
Yeah, I mean, we're lucky. I mean, myself and like Nima, I mean, we've been doing promoting before.
Right.
So, I mean, we're already, I mean, I guess there is a large difference between doing a festival and like promoting a show. But I mean, the general kind of motion aspects are the same. But I mean, I think the lineup really helped for the first year. I mean, we had bands like Taka and Non Lefrak and Karak Angren.
Yeah.
And I think bands like that, they do well. So we were quite lucky that the lineup sold itself really. I mean, the second year was a bit more difficult because we upgraded quite quickly. As I say, I mean, the first edition was just 700 tickets. The second edition, we went all out for a 2,000 ticket event.
Right.
And that's where it got a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
So we did take a bit of a step back, and we went to the Dome for a few years. To basically, I don't, maybe just get some, festivals when they're brand new. I don't think people have too much trust in them.
They don't.
No, so I mean, like Damnation. I mean, it's been going for so long now. Where I mean, for me, even if there's not many bands on the festival that I want to see, I'm still going to come to Damnation because it's just part of my calendar.
Yeah.
And I think it's difficult to get to a festival to that stage. But I mean, I think we did that with Incineration. Say 2014 was great. 2015 was a bit of a tester. And then 16, 17 and 18 were really strong for us, just in the Dome. I mean, we had bands like, Abath come and play, and we had Marduk's and Dark Funerals and things like that. But because at that point, before we went back to Camden Town in 2019, we'd done it enough times in a row for it to become like a regular thing. So now I think kind of a similar thing. I mean, I think some people attend Incineration, even if they're not completely sold on the lineup, just because it's like the annual thing that they know their friends are going to be going to, that kind of thing, that they'll go to anyway.
About tradition then, 2019, you guys, because I mean, I know we'll talk about Mayhem and we'll get to that. That's not a jump, that's a fucking giant leap off a cliff. But yeah, in 2019, you had Mayhem. I mean, Mayhem are a sizable band. So did you feel like you dusted yourselves off, or any financial losses, being built up that confidence, and again then 2019 took the jump again with Mayhem?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we were quite lucky actually. 2019, that was the year you had them as well at Damnation, wasn't it?
Fucking hell, you know what? The years are just, they're all right. Yeah, of course it was, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were quite lucky that year actually, because we had, in the springtime, they released the Lords of Chaos film.
Right.
And I mean, the festival, like Incineration, we were going to sell out anyway. I mean, our tickets, as soon as we'd announced Mayhem and Septic Flesh and bands like that, I mean, tickets were, they were flying, they were doing really well. And then, they released that film. And I didn't even know the film was getting released. I only found out because I was looking at our ticket sales, and they were seriously going through the roof. And I was like, what the fuck's going on right now? And then I did some research online. I realized they'd released that film, Lords of Chaos. And it's, I don't know. It was
good. That's odd when because sometimes you do see a spike in ticket sales, and I hate that. It's also a wee bit like this with this podcast. Is sometimes you'll see an episode that was recorded 4 months ago, just as a crazy day. Well, like dozens of folk just suddenly jump in and listen to an episode that no one else has been like, but you've got no way of sourcing where that came from, where the post was. Did somebody recommend it in some message board somewhere? So that's interesting with Mayhem. That's
that was quite lucky. But I mean, no, that festival as a whole, 2019. I mean, by that point, when we initially started the festival, let's say, it was only really us as organisers, and we didn't really have much of a team around us. But I mean, over the years, I mean, we started working. I mean, we got a guy working with us called James, and he kind of handles all of the production and everything. The guy's an absolute wizard when it comes to that kind of thing. So, and then with him, he brought a team with him as well. So we have stage managers, we have, a full crew. And so come 2019, we've spent these years building up. We have a full crew behind us now. I mean, the festival, it was so much easier than 2014.
It's for a listener that's not involved in this, I wouldn't even think or care about that. it's important because Damnation really done it the hard way. We started, come on, 2005, there was no stage managers. I didn't know what a stage manager was, so it was kind of, fuck, these guys are supposed to exist. And then we had friends doing it, and then we had, I just, you know, everything with the best intentions, but you get to a point where you just now, I was basically the show rep for years and years, and agents were saying, why you bother them? I should get something in for a couple £100 that's going to lock themselves in a room and be the guy who's going to take the shit for the towels and the waters. And someone could have came back and told me in 2004, going out 2005, look, these wee bits that you don't even know about yet will change your life on the day, you know, having good crew, good stage managers, good show reps, guys that can just get things done. You can actually enjoy your event instead of by the end, the time you get to midnight, you're absolutely exhausted.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we still, I don't know how you do it with Damnation, but I mean, we still rep the festival like on the day.
Yeah. Well, you can't get away from it, can you? Because ultimately, because you guys have booked the bands, the tour managers, the agents, the bands that do it themselves, they recognise your name. So you can tell them, you could send them 6 production sheets that tell this is the person, this is the woman you need to phone when you arrive. They're still going to lie and say, "Where's Gav?" Or in your case, "Where's Stephen?" Because we want to complain about the whiskey or fucking whatever, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Which, I mean, I guess that's just how it is. But I mean, sometimes I do consider getting a show rep in when I've got, you know, certain black metal musicians getting upset with me because I won't give them scissors so they can cut themselves on stage.
The trials and tribulations are dealing with black metal bands.
There's numerous things like that we've had to deal with. Well, I've just been sat there. I've been thinking, like, why the fuck didn't I just pay someone to come and deal with this guy? But we still run the festival. But as far as the actual crew's concerned, I mean, we've got a really good team behind us now that handles all of the production, the ground transport as well. Because I mean, in London, we've got about 5 airports that we use, and even though the actual mileage between the venue and the airports is, you know, it's only maybe 10, 15 to 20 miles, like the actual time it takes to get bands from the airport to the venue in London, you know, that can be an hour or 2 hour journey.
Yeah. For a promoter, sometimes you might be looking, you see, especially with tours in Glasgow and Manchester and Leeds, do 200 tickets or 300 tickets for a show, and you see that show go to London and do 600 or 700 tickets, you're like, fucking guys in London have got it made. But the truth is as well, everything's difficult in London, isn't it? Everything's expensive and everything's difficult. I mean, right down to parking a bus somewhere.
Oh yeah. I mean, as far as parking a bus is concerned, I mean, generally you just accept that you're going to get a fine and you just pay for it. It's just how it is, unfortunately. I remember the first time I promoted in London, and the band that, I can't remember which band it was now. I remember they got a parking ticket though, and I was proper shocked. I was like, oh my god, like, what do we do about this? We got a parking ticket, and like, every time I go to London now, I'm just expecting it. Like,
that's just part of the cost, and your cost sheet. It's just however many buses or vans have ended up ticketed.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, what is it, parking ticket, like £100 or something? So, I mean, it's not too bad to park a
nightliner for the night.
I
suppose. So that took us up to 2019. You've got that confidence, you've the reputation's there for Incineration, you're getting the fans through the door, Mayhem sort of top it off. So then, as I say, for folk, Mayhem's a jump, but Emperor is a leap. I mean, to put it into context, you could get yourself 3 or 4 Mayhems for an Emperor. So what made you go, right, okay, we're doing that. We're going to take it. Because that's one of those, that's sort of, in poker terms, that's we're all in.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that's kind of how we felt after 2020, you know, went just, you know, dropped off because of COVID. I mean, we felt like, I mean, even though obviously the pandemic is, you know, it's nothing to do with us, it's not our fault, but we still felt like we owed something back to the fans who come to the festival. So I think, we figured that we're going to do something special, and to do that, we're going to go all in and get a band that has been on our radar since the first years of the festival.
Yeah.
And yes, I mean, we're quite lucky because the manager of Emperor, he's actually followed the festival since the very early days.
Is that hacking?
Yeah. So he's kind of seen the development of the festival. So he was there in the early days. He saw us, quite amateurish, putting this festival together. And then he's been there nearly every single year, and he's seen the progress that we've made each year. So when it came to me asking him about Emperor, I mean, I think I actually asked him I might have asked him about Emperor or maybe Immortal or something a few years ago. And I didn't. I mean, it was just immediately getting shot down. But I mean, after the years of working together on the festival, this time when I asked him about Emperor, there was actually a conversation to be had.
Yeah, which is more. Listen, that's in itself. Cause I know a lot of people that have tried to get Emperor and I've never had a return email. And
yeah.
I know what Emperor cost. That's why they don't play Damnation. Because I feel like if you were going to roll the dice with Emperor, it kind of needs to be London, because I think you will get that added attraction of being London and just the fan base you guys can take. But I mean, Jesus, it's a big one. And how have things been? Obviously, you're in a difficult situation, even when you're putting the tickets back in sale. Now there's this cloud of COVID over everything. It's like people, I can sense that. I think Damnation would pretty much already have sold out if someone said it's guaranteed it's going to happen in November. I think we would sell out tomorrow. I think there's a huge portion of people that are like, is it going to happen, and can I be asked with a to and fro, and if I need to get a refund or whatever. So how have things been with you announcers making such a big play amid this nonsense with coronavirus?
Yeah, I mean, we've I mean, what are we now? This time round we've cancelled. We've postponed. I mean, we've had the tiniest bit of drop off, but I mean, when I say drop off, I mean, I think we've had maybe 10 refund requests.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's been balanced out by like many times more ticket sales than that since we've announced 2022.
Yeah.
I mean, there definitely seems to be. I mean, I think you're very right. I think if there was assurance over November right now, I think Damnation would have sold out.
Yeah.
And I think because people feel a bit more assured about 2022, they seem fine about buying tickets.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's always the worry in the back of our heads that we had the same situation for 2021. I mean, when we cancelled 2020, people were super excited about 2021. We sold an amazing amount of tickets once we announced Emperor. And obviously there was lots of optimism. So, I mean, there is always that worry in the back of your head.
Yeah, we can't even contemplate that in a minute because no chance. I mean, like, no. I'm as optimistically confident as I can be. I'm cautiously confident as I can be about November, but I'm a bit like, if it was to go into 2022, would there be any industry left? I mean, are we all gone? I mean, is every stage manager, every driver, every tour manager, they've all left. There's nothing left. They're fucking working, doing whatever they can get. So
yeah, I mean, that is the worry, because I mean, I know there's been like the artists, the culture fund and things like that, but I mean, obviously they've done that for this year, but I mean, I can't imagine them doing something similar, at the end of this year or next year. I mean, yeah, it's got to come to a head at some point. But I mean, I'd say I'm still feeling confident about the end of this year. I mean, with Niemeyer, we do Incineration Fest, and we also do show promotions together in London. So I mean, we've got shows booked for September, October, November, December. So I mean, we're feeling confident about that. And to be fair as well, tickets they're still selling.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got Aborted playing in September, and the show is already, I'm sure it's like maybe 30 or 40% sold out. So
that's great to hear. My only context is Damnation. As I say, we've done such great pre-sales already. I mean, ticket sales in the last couple of announcements have been good, but they've not been as good as they would have been. I don't think if that assurance was there, if people knew they were definitely going to see those bands that are getting put in the poster, as you say, and as I agree, that I think we would already be we'd already be sold out. So let's be okay. We're remaining optimistic. Emperor are going to be playing. So how was it to roll over all your lineup? Was it relatively easy? Everybody just continued that copy and paste that the industry's been doing, or was there a bit of to and fro with some of them?
Yeah, I mean, like maybe a few months ago, when we initially, we didn't tell the managers and bands 2 months ago that we were going to be moving the festival, because we weren't even sure we were going to be moving the festival. We just asked, if we did have to come to, if it did come to moving the festival, would the band be available? And at that point, there was some resistance. They just wanted to try and focus on 2021.
Right.
But then, literally 1 month later, it was a completely different tune. Everyone seemed happy enough to move over to 2022.
Yeah.
I mean, it's difficult. Obviously, it's difficult for us as promoters. But I mean, it must be crazy difficult for bands, especially these days, because I mean, a lot of that money is earned on the road through, merchandise sales at shows and that kind of thing. And to not have any of it for, I guess eventually it's going to be like the best part of 2 years.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it really is a lot. And for managers and agents as well. I mean, it's a really tough situation. But I mean, when we went back to bands the second time about moving, so there were a lot more, there were a lot more up for it, let's say.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it was just I mean, even when I started the podcast, I was talking to Vicky from Bloodstock now. I felt there was too many people who were just looking at the number changing on the calendar as a solution rather than something tangible. So I think too many people just looked at 2021 saying once 2020 is out the way, things will just be better because it's a new year, rather than because, here's a vaccine rollout, or because COVID pissed off or whatever, So that was
I was a little bit guilty for that, to be honest. I had New Year's Eve. I was there in my back garden with my partner. We had a fire. We were drinking, and I was dancing around, celebrating the end of the year. And then I woke up in 2021 and realised it was just as fucked.
Inbox still full of stuff getting cancelled and postponed and moved on. But listen, there was every reason to celebrate the end of 2020. I agree with you there, but let's hope. As I say, you guys were the first sizable event to kind of get knocked on, but it seems like you've managed to do it. I mean, what the fear is with the major summer festivals, be it in our scene or the likes of Glastonbury already they cancelled, was it's got nothing to do with the day before the gates open. It's about all the costs that are involved the months before, when you need to pay deposits for the staging and the crews and the toilets and God knows what else goes into these major 60,000 capacity festivals. Were you able to make sure that those costs weren't incurred for Incineration and the types of things that we deal with, flights, hotel, accommodation, ground transport booking, all that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, with like the big one for us is accommodation. I mean, in London, you can get hotel rooms in London if you're booking like a year in advance. You can get them maybe 60, 70 pounds a room.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's okay. But I mean, then if you're 6 months out from the event and then you're trying to find accommodation, I mean, you're looking at double, triple the price, which when you're having to accommodate maybe, 40, 50 people, it's quite a bit of money. So, I mean, all of our, our flights, hotels and everything were booked quite far in advance for 2020. So when 2020 got cancelled, we did manage to carry everything over to 2021. And just last week, actually, I finished going through all of the hotels and flights, and I managed to move everything over to 2022. But I mean, it was a bit of a worry at first, because obviously it's something that none of us have really dealt with before. So we were worried about losing our ass a little bit on that.
Yeah, because listen, those costs. I mean, you're joking about £100 ticket for a bus to be outside, but the cost with flights, ground transport, hotel rooms, deposits, these kind of things can become astronomical. I mean, even up in Leeds that doesn't have that same pressure as London, if there's another couple of events happening in the area, the hotel rooms can very quickly become 110, 120. And if you've got a decent sized band saying, well, all 7 members want single rooms, you're a bit like, I paid £5,000 for your band, and I'm paying another fucking 1,500 for hotel rooms.
Yeah, no, that's it. Yeah, that is the thing, really. I mean, I actually, talking to Leeds, when I came up to Damnation 2019, usually I don't really drink. So, I mean, usually if I go to a gig, I'll go to the show, I'll enjoy it, and then I'll drive home.
Right.
But yeah, I thought that year, I was coming up with my partner, I thought, maybe we'll get a hotel for the night and we can have a couple of drinks. So I found a hotel, but we didn't decide to get a hotel until like the day before, and we ended up getting a travel lodge, and it was like £150 or something for travel lodge.
The travel lodge ones they sting the most, because if you got them at the start of £29 on one of their deals, if you can get it, and then when you have to pay, because I've been in a situation where I've had to pay like proper Hilton prices for a travel lodge with a pull down bed for some band to go stay at, and the band are looking at you going, why are we in a travel lodge? I'm like, because I never booked any rooms elsewhere, and everything is sold out. Even if I wanted to pay for the fucking Premier or the Hilton, it's fully booked. So
definitely. I say that Damnation weekend. I mean, that travel lodge was the only hotel left, like that I could find in Leeds. It was and I say I just paid it in the end. I was like, whatever. But,
it's worth it. Listen, I would pay much more than that to go to a gig now. So
absolutely. I say I don't. Right now, I don't care what style of music it is. I don't care how much it costs to get there. I just want to hear some live music.
Would watch Five Finger Death Punch in a Tesco car park. That's how fucking bad.
I actually would. I mean, I've had some. One of my worst promoting experiences was booking Puddle of Mud a few years ago.
Right.
And right now, I would book that band in a fucking instant to play tonight.
It's interesting you say that, because my good friend Luke Bell, the tour manager for Machine Head, for previous singer of Panic Cell, he tour managed Puddle of Mud, and he said it was his worst. His worst at West Scotland was just a fucking. You never knew where he was, where he went, when he would come back, if he would stay on stage, whatever. So he had an absolute nightmare with that band.
Yeah. I mean, for some reason, I booked them twice, and it was. I mean, the first time was bad enough. I don't know why I did it the second time, and the second time was even worse. But yeah, I would happily put that band a third time right now.
and go out with them and watch them every night. Just
absolutely. Yeah.
Talking of not that McGlar that difficult, but what they bring with them, bands of things that you never managed to roll over year and year. You had McGlar on the lineup that was originally for that would have been 2020. Yeah. And then everybody at Dark Funeral and Ackercock and Bloodbath, and they all made it onto the next poster and then the next poster. What happened with McGlar? I'm not too sure actually. They just said that they weren't available for the 2021 edition. So I mean, we did instead book them for a headline show in October, but obviously it ended up getting cancelled. Right.
I mean, I'm actually still waiting for the rearranged show for the October show. That didn't happen. So I mean, maybe we can work something there with Incineration. I don't know.
I mean, I touched on the. I mean, I don't know if you heard the one I done with Alan from Primordial, and I'd mentioned to him when we booked McGlar and the whole, these guys are racist and etc. Anyone wants to know all the details or why I booked McGlar for Damnation, please go and listen to that episode, because I get into it for like an hour. But one of the folk I contacted when I was trying to get to the bottom of it all was yourself, along with Joe McGregor up in Scotland and Fergal Holmes in Ireland, just to get the idea of, well, promoters know, because promoters see them in their dressing room. Promoters, I mean, if they're the guys out there with the pig's blood doing the swastika in the dressing room, well, we know. So you can go to somebody that you trust and ask the question. And obviously we had a chat about it, and you'd never had any bad experiences working with McGlar at all. So have you been at the receiving end, like I was with Damnation, about booking them though? Like people that read it on Twitter that these guys are racist, then you're now the target?
I mean, we did. I mean, the last two times that we've announced them, we have had some say, feedback like that. I mean, actually, the biggest kind of thing we've had as far as it, you know, like, I guess kind of the Antifa crowd is concerned, was in 2018. We had one of the bands that we had booked for Incineration. We had basically, we didn't know too much about the background of the band. I mean, we're a music festival. We listened to their music. We think, you know, the band was fucking awesome. So we booked them for the festival. But we did have some threats against the festival, and threats towards the fans, and, you know, various acts of violence that would happen if we didn't cancel the band. So I mean, we did our own investigation into the band just to kind of see what the deal is, you know, why we're receiving, you know, this information. And actually, when we looked into the band, we did see that they were playing in Ukraine with some quite questionable bands. So we did try and make contact with the band and ask if we could receive some kind of statement from them or something, just to give us some evidence or clarification that they're not that way inclined. But they couldn't do it, so in the end we just cancelled them from the festival.
Right. Okay, so just to clarify, this isn't McGla we're talking about?
No, this isn't McGla, no.
I was like, hold on a second, this is taking a dodgy turn here.
No, we're safe with McGla. No, this was another band. That's it. I won't name the name. I mean, we haven't worked with them again, and I think they might have actually deleted their social media pages and stuff. Yeah. But that's been the only time we've really had any serious issues. I mean, as I said, McGuire, we've had a few people comment on like social media, you know, but I mean, we even had the same thing about Mayhem when we announced Mayhem for Incineration in 2019.
That's part of the problem, isn't it? Because it's all in that one person on Twitter's view. Because if it wasn't McGla at that time for us, but I mean, I was a wee bit like, well, why not Mayhem? I mean, like if we're just gonna like throw mud at anyone that's in black, I mean, Merker, there was some nonsense going on about the internet about her. Why not? Why not that? Like, we've booked a lot of black metal bands, and you get some folk out there that just believe that as soon as you play black metal, you must be racist for whatever reason. So I was a wee bit like, that was odd. Put out 300 bands and then say, I don't know, say 40 of them being black metal. You decided that this was the one where, no one's really saying much about Mayhem for us anyway. But then I was seeing at other events, Mayhem were being targeted, and it just seems like whenever it suits. Well, okay, well, Mayhem for this one, or McGla Attacker for this one, and it just got a bit like, that was a surprise.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's probably, I mean, I'm sure you're probably quite similar to me. I mean, I just focus on the music. I mean, if I listen to a record, I mean, I'm not thinking about their politics or anything. I'm just thinking about the music that I'm listening to, and, you know, I'm enjoying the record. So, I mean, if I go and book Mayhem, it's because I want to listen to Mayhem. I want people at the festival to enjoy the music of Mayhem. I mean, I'm not there.
Absolutely. And another way, because Damnation's that festival that booked Napalm Death and Discharge and Bolt Thrower and Venom Prison and Birds and Row and these heavily skewed left. But also, I don't really care what Napalm Death sing about. I just quite like the music and that. People say, oh, well, you really should be delving into Napalm Death's lyrics and knowing what the guy's Barney's screaming at you before you nod your head. And I'm a bit like, well, no, fuck you. I don't really, just enjoy it. I mean, I don't really care what Barney's going to say. I just want, if he plays good grindcore, I was going to ask you about the difficulty right now, because I've got a friend, we were in WhatsApp the other day, and it was a black metal band that get mentioned. It's kind of an in-joke now, as soon as RA wrongins, I mean, we're going to have to go and check if they're fucking had Nazi symbols 20 years ago. And he's a bit, and this guy's big into his black metal, and his point was, no one ever says that beginning at Tesco. Like, who's the board of directors at Tesco? Or Asda? Or Prima? I mean, probably some dodgy folk involved with all these, but with black metal, it's become hyper focused on racism, because there is a racism problem in black metal, but everybody else is getting smeared with that brush. So are you? Is that difficult when your festival's predominantly a black metal festival? Do you find yourself like always in the back of your head for each booking, right? Okay, I don't want to get into the politics in this. I clearly don't want to support a fucking dodgy band, but at the same time, I don't want to do a deep dive in 25 years of a band's career to see if they'll get some dodgy thing for the fucking past in the 90s, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's difficult these days, because I mean, I think there's a lot less tolerance. And I think it can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing. I mean, it's a good thing in the aspect that there are some bands out there that are just, they are a bit dodgy, and their message shouldn't really be, allowed to spread as it does. But then I think some bands, maybe 30 years ago when the band was just starting out and they were, maybe a little less mature and they were doing something for shock value. I think to still hold stuff against them these days, I don't really agree with that too much.
Yeah. And especially from your point of view, my point of view as well. Like I could book McGlath knowing not that Damnation Festival was not going to be used as any sort of platform for any racist views. I knew that because not only did the band don't say anything, they had nothing levelled against the actual band for 20 years either. So you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. Like, well, I know that my event is not going to be used to promote racing, and if I thought for a second it wouldn't be on. I mean,
absolutely. I mean, if there was a band like the example I gave about the band that we had in 2018, like Unknowingly had. I mean, I wouldn't actively go out and book that band again now for the festival, knowing what we know now. So, but yeah, it's a difficult situation that with the black metal scene, because I mean, it seems to be like very small minority of bands are questionable. And it seems to have smeared the entire black metal scene.
I mean, unfortunately, whatever we were looking at. I mean, Damnation has its portion of black metal the same way it has its portion of doom or its portion of thrash or death, whatever. Well, you guys, I mean, as you talk through all your headliners, past and going to be the future, there's a lot of black metal there, and that must be tough when you're, as you say. I mean, however, how many other promoters need to try and think about putting on an event and thinking about a band's entire, I mean, and it is a personal history. It's not like you just stick it into the Google and it flags up to you. You need to really deep dive into these things and find out. And half the time as well, you're like, you don't give a shit. And in terms of about someone's, like, if somebody's a stamp collector or if they like cars, or you're like, the guys there playing guitar in a band and doing it well, and people want to come and fucking have a pint and enjoy it. So
definitely. I mean, I'd say since that incident in 2018, and we've not really had too much. I say we had a couple of comments when we had Mayhem in 2019, but I mean that's been about it really.
Okay, good. Quickly before we move on for Incineration and talk about some of the agency work you do, where do you? So this happens 2021 next year. It happens. You've got Emperor. I mean, if you take Beam off the picture, Bonafide, the biggest black metal band you can get your hands on. Where do you go for there?
I mean, our focus at the moment is to just try and have a festival take place.
Small steps.
I mean, we have got plans further down the line for further expansion. But I mean, our initial aim is to get the Roundhouse edition done. Have Emperor come and do their first London show for, I don't know how, maybe 16 years or something crazy. And once we feel a bit more assured that we're good, festival's going ahead, then we can start looking beyond the future. I mean, we do have obviously we have like a radar, and obviously like Emperor, we're on that radar of bands that we wanted to book, and there are a few other bands on that radar that we've been trying to book for the last couple of years, but we've not managed to succeed. So we will go back for them again for 2023 and onwards. I mean, I'm hoping 2023 we can have a new lineup and not just carry the same thing over.
Fucking Emperor headline in 2023. Jesus. I'm leaving you to laugh. And you perform in a black metal band yourself, Noctum? So you're going to be, you need to put yourself on the main stage with Emperor, surely. I mean, that's promoter's privilege for that. So that was happening.
No, we are playing the festival, but no, we're not main stage. Although there's actually like a funny story of Noctum, because obviously I only joined the band last year, 2019, but we actually booked Noctum to play in 2014 at the first Incineration Fest.
Really?
Those guys actually yeah, they fucked us quite a bit, because we told them that there was going to be no blood on stage, and they used blood on stage, and they didn't just use it on stage. They had it caked inside the microphones. They had it caked inside the drum kit. They had it caked all over, like anything that we rented, they had it caked all over. So when it came to actually returning the equipment, we had to pay a rather large cleaning bill. And I never actually mentioned it to the guys until when I first joined them and I did my first tour with them. I mentioned it to them. I told them they owed me.
So how that? Cause I had a quick squint through. I mean, I've got 30,000, or you guys get 30,000 fans in Facebook. It's not like a band that only started up 10 minutes ago. How did you come to be playing with them?
I mean, I was playing guitars in the Egyptian band Scarab, like a few years back. And then after leaving those guys, I wasn't really doing much in the extreme metal scene as far as playing is concerned. And then I can't remember, a few years ago, I did approach Noctum just if they ever needed like a session guitarist. So I just said what I'd done in the past, and that I'm completely open to touring if anything comes up and if I'm needed. And then I heard from the singer, the vocalist. He hit me up in, I think, November 2019,
right?
Just basically asking if I'm still available, and that the band wanted to go on tour in February 2020, and they needed a new guitarist. So that was it really. So I joined up with them. I mean, I quite like, because I mean, obviously, generally I've got the agency, I've got the festival, I'm promoting, so I'm quite busy.
Yeah.
So for me to be in a band where they're sending me the songs and I'm learning them at home to a click track, and then I meet up with the guys, we rehearse once, and then go on tour, is ideal for me. I've always struggled in bands in the past where I've had to take maybe a day each week for rehearsals. I don't really have too much time to be doing that.
But it sounds ready made. Here you go, as a black metal band already made for you, just join and tour. I'm sure a lot of folk that. I'll be surprised if you've not got your bandmates are not putting pressure on you to go on that main stage with Emperor though.
Yeah, they did. Oh man, like because of the agency as well. Actually, when you did the last Damnation announcement, they sent me the poster and they're like, "Why are we not playing this?" So I was like, "Look, I'll speak with Gavin, and maybe one year."
It was because I listened to them today. It was really good, but that was. You're going to be getting it from all angles. I mean, as soon as they see this podcast, you're definitely fucked, aren't you?
Oh yeah, fucked, yeah.
Gavin's on the podcast with a pale horse named Death because you said where's his Noctum t-shirt? Yeah. That's a good link to the agency then. So we've done a bit of business over the years with Damnation. I typed your surname into the email, and Voices, A Forest of Stars, Mayhem, Pale Horse Named Death, Inter Armour, and then you've started up your own agency, Echelon Talent, with Liam Spencer, and for this year coming we've got Incantation, Abigail Williams, and through Liam we've got Conan. So a lot of good bands were booked for you down the years, and a lot of good bands get into the future. So how did tell me a wee bit about agency work and how it came to be that you've got your own agency now?
Yeah, I mean, we obviously when I was approaching you with the Pale Horse Named Death stuff, I mean, myself and Liam were with Archery Global.
Yeah.
So we were part of the European arm to the US agency. And around the autumn in October, it was about October 2019, myself and Liam, for quite a while, we've been feeling like a bit of a desire to kind of, do our own thing. And as I say, we kind of combined efforts to begin Echelon, really. I mean, we've been working with Archery Global for about 3 years together. So we used our contacts that we had from that. I mean, we had rosters ready to go. We just decided to start up Echelon. And I say we've done well so far. I mean, so our roster is over 100 artists. We've got rock, pop, electronic music, metal, We've got a really good range of music, and on top of that, away from myself and Liam, we've got 3 other agents working with us,
right?
Who are really, one of them is he's rather seasoned. He's been around for a while, and then we've got 2 like junior agents who are progressing really well.
Right.
So I mean,
it's a great position to start in. I mean, as you've got Incantation and Conan ready to rock. Like you can come to a festival like Damnation and be like, oh, we're putting together this package, or we've got this band playing with this. It's a pale horse named Death, but you had albeit previously with the previous agency. So what happened in the sense of that then? Are you guys go to these bands and say, look, we can represent you for the UK, or we can represent you for the UK and Europe if you'd like to come over with us? And
yeah, I mean, like a pale horse named Death, for example. I mean, I've got a good relationship with those guys. So I mean, obviously I was working with them at Archery, and I think for them, I mean, when I actually mentioned the idea that we were going to be creating our own agency, I mentioned the idea to them about them coming over to Echelon, and still, carrying on as normal. I'd just, I'd be their agent just under a different business. Sal come back to me and he said he doesn't really care too much what the agency is, as long as it's, still, I'm the one representing the band. And that was kind of that was a similar kind of thing with the bands that we brought over. It didn't matter too much about the agency name. It was more about the agent who they're working with.
Yeah, that's the gist that I've got from the likes of Ben from Orange Goblin. He started Route 1 booking and taking some of his bands across, and Tom Taff has been with it despite moving about. He's got the same guys like Every Time I Die. So I could see why. I mean, once you've got that personal relationship, what does it really matter what the name is above the door?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, someone like Tom, for example. I mean, for Tom, it doesn't matter who the agency is. I mean, that guy is experienced, has been doing it a while. He's a great agent. So a band isn't going to get any less of a service if they stay with the agency over the agent, or the agent over the agency.
Yeah. And does that leave you in a weird spot? I mean, it's hard enough being an artist and a promoter, but now you're the agent in there too. So you get a situation where, let's talk Incineration 2019. Yeah. You were involved in bringing that Mayhem package over for Damnation, and I assume for Incineration as well. So now you've got this, promoters and agents have got difficult relationships because they both want the best deal for themselves. But you're stuck in the middle now. So you've got Mayhem, for example. They come to you and say, we need X amount. And you and the promoter saying, well, really a few grand less than that would work for me. But now you're the agent too. So that's a difficult position.
Yeah, I mean, with that Mayhem situation, I mean, it was a little bit, I mean, normally it wouldn't have been me booking that tour in particular. But the band wanted to come back over later on in 2019. And we'd already kind of had an exclusivity thing kind of agreed for Incineration Festival. So it's kind of, them saying, look, we have to break the exclusivity, but, you book it for us. So that was kind of the deal with that. But I mean, when it comes to, obviously, I mean, it can be a bit difficult sometimes. I mean, say if I'm booking a show in London as an agent, and I decide I want to be the promoter for that show, I can get some people saying, well, it looks, you're maybe accusing me of taking a show that I think is going to make money and I'll be the promoter for it. Right. But that's not the case. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, like the most important thing is the band. Yeah. So I mean, I know for metal music, I know that me and Nimai we're 2 of the best promoters in London for metal bands. Yeah. So if there's a certain band that I think we'll do a good job for, then we'll be the promoters for it. And like, your stoner rock and that kind of scene, I'm going to go to Josh Old Empire, I'm going to go to Desert Scene. And, some of the power metal stuff, I mean, I've got Dream Evil touring in August. Right. And those guys are, being promoted by John Viner, who's, a great promoter for that style. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's what it suits, it's what you're good at, like, but you get that tough decision, because every band thinks that they're worth more than what they're worth, and every promoter probably wants to pay less
than what they should. So they sometimes sit down or have that conversation over the phone or Zoom or whatever and say, look, guys, you want 5. I would love to pay 3. Can we meet at 4? But I know, but then you're doing it for both sides because you're the promoter and agent at the same time.
Yeah, I generally just, I'm paying the same price as everyone else. Sometimes I've even paid a higher price as a promoter just so the tour can happen. If I'm confident that the tour will, if I'm confident that the show will do the sales, then I'll pay a higher price just so the tour can happen.
Yeah.
But I understand. I get what you mean.
It's a difficult position to find yourself in. But then if you can make it work, you can make it work.
I think it's just a case of being fair really, and trying to think about the artist. Putting the artist first.
Yeah. Then that comes back in spades as well. If the artist then does it and then you realise that, well, you've put on that show and it's not done so well, and then you've taken the hit, I suppose they kind of feel like they must owe you one as well, as their agent that's taking that hit for them. So, great. Listen, it's been fantastic talking to you, Stephen. I'm wrapping this up with this new feature that we have in this podcast about recommending some music, because that seems to be what people take away from it more than anything. So let's go black metal then, since that's your forte. Let's say a couple of bands. Doesn't need to be black metal. Get a couple of bands that you feel that people should really be tuning into.
We were talking black metal. I'd probably have to say Noxon, and they're no. To be honest, I think I'd probably go a bit more death metal, and I'd say the latest Incantation album.
Yeah, it's good praise.
Yeah, I would go for that. And what else would I go for? I've kind of got a playlist at the moment that I've been listening. It kind of just it's a mixture of Incantation, Dark Funeral, Mayhem, Marduk, and Torka.
Right.
So
a lot of the old school classics then. Incantation. Incantation's a good shout. They get a good pop for that announcement. Folk were delighted to see them on the bill. So, and also I think that the guys at John McNee.
He
appeared as well. So he appeared on the Damnation set. So he seems quite involved in it too.
Yeah, definitely. I feel bad for those guys because they released that album like in August 2020. We had a tour ready to go for it, and then it got moved, and then it got moved again, and now it's being moved. Obviously, November this year, and by the time the band's actually going to tour for that album, the album's going to be over a year old. So I do feel really bad for the guys, but they're keen to get out on the road to support the new album, and I think as we've seen with the the fan reaction when you announced them for Damnation, I don't think people really care about how long it's been since the album and the tour.
Not for something like that. And Incantation.
No, people want to see them. So.
Aye, exactly. Like we booked Cancer. I don't even know if there was any new Cancer music when that happened. It was just a case of like, fucking yes, we'll go and see. Because it's a good mix of stuff as well. People want some of that old school, and then we're getting the jokes now about Incantation and Blood Incantation. Who's going to play? Oh, for fuck's sake, I'll leave that to the death metal fans to work out who's better just because they've got a similar name,
Yeah, no, we actually, we're actually going to be announcing something soon with Incantation performing on the same day as Blood Incantation.
Really?
We're having to mix it up a little bit and go with an Incantation afternoon concert, so we can have both concerts happen at the same time. But there'll be a little bit more about that announced in the next few weeks as we're announcing the full tour along with.
What's to come, because we've still got a few bands to announce for Damnation too, so it'll be good. It'll be interesting to see how it pans out. I hope to see you back up there. I tell everybody that's it. We'll have a pint. I'll be steaming by 3 o'clock because I'll be so delighted seeing you.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. It's Damnation is well and truly on my calendar for this year.
Aye, it'll be good, especially with the bands you've got involved as well. So thank you very much for your time, Stephen, and all the best for the future, pal. All right?
Yeah, thank you.